covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Well, China's retaliatory tariffs take effect today on key U.S. farm products. What President Trump is saying about concerns over economic turbulence ahead. And a new law in Arkansas looks to teach kids about firearm safety. We'll have more on what that education will look like. Well, Wall Street opened lower today after President Trump didn't rule out a potential recession during an interview over the weekend. This comes as Congress has to pass a budget by the end of the week to avert a partial government shutdown.
With China's retaliatory tariffs taking effect today, President Trump tried to downplay concerns of a trade war.
We're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money.
But this morning, Wall Street reacted to the uncertainty and to the president's comments during an interview with Fox Business.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America.
In response to additional tariffs the U.S. is putting on China, Beijing is punching back with 15% retaliatory tariffs on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, and 10% tariffs on meat, dairy, and soybeans starting today.
The worst thing right now is the uncertainty of it. Putting on tariffs between integrated economies raises the cost for consumers and or producers, and the economy as a whole loses.
The tariff tensions come on top of a budget showdown here in Washington as Congress barrels toward a Friday deadline to avert a government shutdown. House Republicans released a stopgap plan over the weekend, which would increase defense spending while decreasing spending on domestic programs. It also adds funds for immigration enforcement and veterans' health care. It does not have support from House Democrats.
Right now, Mano, there's been no outreach on a bipartisan basis.
The House could pass the measure on party lines as early as Tuesday, but it faces an uncertain path in the Senate where some Democratic support would be needed. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The White House says it's also monitoring retaliatory tariffs announced by Canada, including 25% on electricity that goes to New York, Minnesota, and Michigan.
All right, it's absolutely gorgeous out there today. Eventually, we'll see daytime highs into those low to mid 70s. Plenty of sunshine all day long. Really, tomorrow is going to be nice as well. The only change will be that we're going to see some strong winds throughout the day on Tuesday. 2 things you really need to look out for this week, though. First one comes late Wednesday evening. Maybe the chances of a few of those isolated thunderstorms, but really the headline this week is what comes for Friday with elevated storm risk. Current temperatures out there right now, 50s and 60s. Again, we're going to keep climbing throughout the rest of the afternoon today into the early evening hours. Really great to get outside, though, right now. Plenty of sunshine. That trend continues not only for today, but for tomorrow as well. Daytime highs today, eventually into those low 70s. We'll have a gorgeous evening the rest of the night as well, staying into those 50s across the River Valley. I think daytime highs today, mid 70s, tomorrow into the low 80s, and plenty of sunshine along the way. We'll talk about those storm chances coming up.
Thanks, Stephen. Well, we've learned the identity of the victim in a deadly shooting over the weekend in Rogers. This happened early Saturday morning on South B Street on the east side of Rogers. Police say they received multiple calls about shots fired and arrived to find a man had been shot. We've learned the victim was 41-year-old Andreas Fonseca. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he died from his injuries. No information has been released about a suspect in the case, but police say they believe this is an isolated incident and say there's no threat to the public. They're asking anyone with information to reach out to Rogers PD. And a warning from police and U.S. Marshals is still in place this afternoon. Right now, they're looking for 3 men they say are violent. The first is this man on your screen, Yusuf Muhammad. He's wanted on gun and drug charges. Marshals tell us he has, quote, violent tendencies and should be considered armed and dangerous. They're also asking for help finding this man, Gary Powell Jr. He's facing several charges, including rape, sexual assault, and fleeing police. Marshals are warning that Powell is also known to have violent tendencies. And finally, both Faulkner County and Monticello are searching for Von Shadrick Kenny Jr. They tell us he is a convicted violent offender wanted for aggravated assault. Again, if you see or know anything about any of these 3 men, do not approach them and call police. Well, a new law in Arkansas aims to educate students about firearm safety. But what exactly will that education look like? 5 News reporter Jose Carranza spoke with lawmakers and the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission to find out.
Firearm safety will be taught in schools with the signing of Act 229 into law. House Representative Scott Richardson was the lead sponsor of the bill. He explains the idea came about when he considered the diversity of his community in Bentonville, Rogers, and Cave Springs.
Oftentimes they come from a variety of backgrounds that may or may not have had opportunities to be exposed to firearms in the home.
It was the topic of a conversation Richardson had with his neighbors last summer.
All of our children play together and invade whatever home happens to be the play of the day. And in that process, they may go into a neighbor's home and discover that unsecured firearm. And how would they react?
The Arkansas Game and Fish Commission and the Department of Education will develop the safety instruction. Game and Fish has experience teaching firearm safety through its recreational shooting division, placing experts at firing ranges statewide. But spokesperson Trey Reed says their most significant involvement in firearm safety is through hunter education.
We've had hunter education in Arkansas for 45 years probably now. It has been mandatory. It's mandatory for anybody born after 1968. You have to have it in order to get a hunting license.
Reed believes the requirements in the act will make the instruction simpler than the 10-hour hunter education course.
This is going to be really basic. I mean, basically a firearm safety version of stop, drop, and roll.
Richardson emphasized the focus is on safety, not firearm use. Instruction will begin in the 2025-26 school year. Covering news where you live, Jose Carranza, 5 News.
And continuing coverage, did you feel that time change this morning? Well, the highly debated bill to keep the state on standard time could be debated in 2 days at the Capitol. A push to end daylight saving time in Arkansas is gaining momentum. State Representative Stephen Meeks is proposing the bill again in hopes to keep the state on standard time year-round. Meeks says the time change is impacting students, making them more tired and affecting their academic performance.
Picked up several co-sponsors this go around where I didn't have that before. I've got a senator who's already lined up ready to carry the bill for me in the Senate should I get it out of the House. I'm getting emails from people all over the state saying that they support it.
Lawmakers will debate the bill Wednesday in the State Agencies and Governmental Affairs Committee. If it passes, Arkansas could eliminate daylight saving time for good. And this week, the debate on vaping continues with lawmakers looking to impose new restrictions on consumers, manufacturers, and possibly parents. The proposal aims to tighten control over the vaping industry as concerns over youth usage continue to grow.
There's two really main points of the bill. One is to make sure that possession as well as use of tobacco or e-cigarettes are not allowed on school property, and the other is a fine to the parents for students who violate this issue.
It's already illegal to have tobacco products on school property here in Arkansas, but this bill would put stronger penalties on parents whose kids get caught. Fines would start at $100 and could go up to $1,000. That's where several members of the committee had reservations.
In this, though, we're fining them for things that they may not even realize their kids are doing.
I'm assuming a lot of parents who would be targeted would be lower income just based on statistics that I know about.
2 other bills to restrict or ban vape devices failed in separate committees, but they remain under review. The latest bill is set for a House committee vote on Wednesday. In Arkansas Game and Fish, wrapping up the 2024-25 Family and Community Fishing Program's winter trout angling opportunities. This year, they provided about 57,000 rainbow trout to 40 locations. The Jim Hinkle Spring River State Fish Hatchery sent truckloads of trout to ponds in Cabot, Pine Bluff, Little Rock, Conway, Maumelle, Bentonville, and Springdale.
And really with this put and take limited wintertime seasonal fishery, I mean, it's really just another opportunity for Arkansans to get engaged with the outdoors, make a connection to nature. And, it's what we're all about is offering opportunities to people to care about the natural world. The more connected you are to it, the more you care about it.
That hatchery, by the way, is the only state-owned cold water trout facility. It's responsible for stocking all family and community fishing program locations.